The minister was lying on his back. The body was burned beyond recognition. There were a number of items around the body.
He rarely spoke about himself to me as his personal assistant, and I don't think if his life was in danger, he would have shared anything like that with me.
I saw so many people die. The irony was, these people were free in court. Oyugi Hezekiah, who we were arrested with initially and was released for lack of evidence, had mysteriously died.
The prosecution was trying to allege that Dr. Ouko had an affair with Anguka's wife.
There's a series of individuals that just died and died and died. And people say Ouko's blood was extremely heavy.
Despite bringing in a team of investigators from London, the Kanu regime was unable to cool down tempers of an angry population. The government ran several investigations in a deliberate scheme to throw off John Troon's team. A trial was the regime's first maneuver, but first it was a commission of inquiry. Tonight on Casefiles, the lone suspect. Even after 2 years, Dr. Robert Ouko's murder on February 12, 1990, his murder will simply not go away. Bowing to public pressure, or what critics say was cleverly disguised as a quest for justice, the government appointed a commission of inquiry to investigate the circumstances surrounding the killing of Kenya's Foreign Affairs Minister, Robert Ouko. The commission was put in place as the London team of investigators was making what its lead investigator, John Troon, says was headway. The commission was chaired by Justice Ivan Gisheru, who years later will be appointed as the country's Chief Justice under the Kibaki regime. As the commission progressed with its work, Hezekiah Oyugi, the then Interior Permanent Secretary, quietly got in touch with the Ouko Commission of Inquiry.
Inevitable happened. The late Oyugi made what to me I call a technological blunder. He calls the inquiry, the commissioners, to tell them he's coming to testify. He's willing to testify and tell it part of his story. So I think he made the call on a Thursday, and we were alerted that the following week, Monday, would have this star witness, the PS himself, come and testify.
Also arrested was the Energy Minister Nicholas Biwott and Nakuru District Commissioner John Anguka. For the first time in 25 years since the Foreign Affairs Minister died, a man arrested, charged but later acquitted for the murder of a person he described as a friend and a village mate has broken his silence. We traveled thousands of kilometers to Los Angeles, California, where the former administrator fled to.
My name is John Anguka.
John Anguka was the sole suspect tried for the assassination of a sitting cabinet minister, one he says he knew way before he took up the role of a district commissioner in Nakuru.
Nakuru was a little different from other districts in that the president of the country lived in that district. And as you may know, positions as a district commissioner is a political appointee. You are appointed by the president. And before you are appointed, you need some political input. In my instance, the political input came from none other than Dr. Robert Ouko, who was my member of parliament in Kisumu Rural.
By virtue of being the district commissioner of Nakuru, Anguka had access to Nakuru State House. at the time considered the second most powerful residence for the president, away from the State House in Nairobi. Anguka told Casefiles he was not aware of the sudden disappearance of the Foreign Affairs Minister until he traveled to Nairobi for a meeting with the then Foreign Affairs Permanent Secretary, Bethuel Kiplagat.
While at the ministry, I learned through my wife that the minister was expected for a trip to Gambia, but he had not shown up. And we went for lunch, and I returned back to Nakuru with my driver.
Anguka says hours later, he received a phone call.
Later that night, the minister's wife, Mrs. Ouko, called me to let me know that the minister had gone missing. And she asked me if I could let the president know of the status of the minister. As a district commissioner, particularly in Nakuru, I had access to the president. So I called State House, and I was told that he was in Rumuruti State Lodge. So I called, and I found the president there, but I didn't talk to him directly. I talked with Mr. Yugi, who was with him. There was a function. So I let Mr. Yugi know Mrs. Ouko's concerned, and that she requested if the president could call her. So I left it at that. Later, Mrs. Ouko did confirm to me that Mr. Yugi called him. She talked with him, and she also talked with the president regarding the disappearance of the minister.
By this time, the government appeared not to be moved about the news of a sitting cabinet minister missing. It wasn't until 2 days later when the family know the government made a passionate appeal through the media. The family was asking Dr. Ouko to contact them or the nearest police station. On Friday, 4 days after the sudden disappearance of the minister, the government appears to have been moved. The then President Daniel Moi issued a statement in which he appealed for information about the whereabouts of the minister. The president promised that the government was determined to protect the lives of each and every Kenyan. Before the body was discovered, John Anguka says he decided to travel to the minister's home in Nakuru.
So as a neighbor, as a friend, I felt duty-bound to go to Nakuru and find out for myself what was going on. More so given that Mrs. Ouko had now traveled from Nairobi and was in Nakuru. Before I left my office in Nakuru, I did let my wife know that I would be traveling to Nakuru to visit with Mrs. Ouko. So while at Nakuru, in the sitting room, my wife, Susan, called and inquired as to what was going on the ground. And I let her know that it was quiet, we were still waiting, we didn't have any information. She let me know that they had a meeting of senior staff in the ministry.
Susan Anguka, John Anguka's wife, was Robert Ouko's personal assistant.
PS came, Mr. Kiplagat, and called a meeting of the senior staff. And from the meeting, when he came to the meeting, he made the announcement that Dr. Ouko had been found at Gotalela in Nakuru, and he was dead. So that's all he told us. So, and that morning, my husband had called me and said he was gonna go to Nakuru. So I knew he was there in Nakuru. And because with this new development, I thought my husband would be having more information or detailed information now that we have been told in Nairobi that he's dead. So I went back to the office and called Nakuru. So then I told him, you know, the PS just told us that the minister is dead. So in fact, when he had that, I think that is how that phone went dead.
At that point, Mrs. Ouko was being interviewed by Deputy Commissioner of Police, Cleophas Okoko. I did not wait for him to finish. I decided to go in to say Paula to Mrs. Ouko, because it could not occur to me that people so far away, 300 miles, would be aware of this unfortunate, sad incidents, and the family, which was only about 3 miles away, was not aware.
Strangely, the news of the minister's death had not been communicated to a team of police officers assigned to investigate his disappearance.
But when I knocked, and Mrs. Ouko asked me to come in, she asked me if I knew anything. At that point, it occurred to me that Mrs. Ouko was in the dark. I was in a state of shock, and she realized, and she asked me if I knew anything about the minister. I did not hesitate. I let her know what I'd just learned, that the minister had been found and that he was dead. It was a shock. She cried and fainted. At that time, the homestead was in chaos.
The attention of the government and the media was now directed to Gota Alila. Jonah Anguka says he came face to face with the lifeless body of a man he had called neighbor and friend.
The minister was lying on his back. The body was burned beyond recognition. There were a number of items around the body. Items that included a jerrycan. There was a walking stick, a Somali sword. There was a gun around the body. And there were other items that were spread around the body. Seeing the body, chills just went down my spine. It was a horrendous sight. They killed him in a manner that was not even fit for dogs. It was brutal. It was chilling. It was chilling. It was chilling.
In the eyes of many, Jonah Anguka was the perfect fall guy. Anguka was a close friend of the fallen Foreign Affairs Minister. The wife was the minister's personal assistant, and the two came from the same village.